Hi guys, it's the Macintosh Guide and I'm back again with a brand new video. This week we're going to follow up from what we posted a few days ago, which was the Nintendo Switch comparison between the V1, the V2 Nintendo Switch and the OLED Nintendo Switch. And I'm going to go through some of the changes that they did and then also talk about some of the actual differences between the three models that I actually have right here. Now, as you probably know, the OLED and the V1 are modded in my situation, but I will go through some of the benefits of the modding scene as well, and obviously some of the benefits of having a standard Switch as well, guys. So sit back, relax, guys, and enjoy this one. So if you look at both the Switches, you'll probably see that the one on the right is the V1, the one on the left is the V2. Now, what are some of the key differences between the V1 and the V2? Well, the screen is absolutely identical. However, I see on the V2 it does look a bit more brighter, so it seems like that the panel has been slightly changed. It's very difficult to tell on camera, but you can see that this one definitely looks brighter, and they're both on max brightness as well, whereas the V1 looks a bit more darker as well. Obviously this one is modded, so you see tinfoil installed, whereas this one is not modded, and I can access Nintendo Online services, download stuff from the eShop, and get all of the extra bonanza. Now, physically, there is not much of a difference, as you can tell, between both the V1 and the V2. Even the back stand is absolutely identical. However, the V2 has a bigger battery life compared to the V1. I believe it gives you an extra 2 hours or so in battery performance, which is great. You know, if you're traveling, you can get a couple of more hours of battery out of your Switch. What I have also noticed though, however, is not much of the Switch's fault, but more of the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons are absolutely ridiculously bad. And when I say ridiculously bad, there is stick drift. There is stick drift happening on the V1. I've had this for a while now, so it's happening. Can't do too much about it. However, I'm noticing something similar on my V2. So, and I haven't owned this for a while. So, seeing that happen, it's crazy. But that's more of the Joy-Con issue than the actual Switch itself. Now, this is running 18.0. Whereas this is running 17.0.1. Reason being is there is a modded version of Hikari available. However, there's just no point of installing it. Compatible, if everything works, then what's the point? No games require a 18.0 requirement. So yeah, there's no point of me updating this Nintendo Switch. Now, as you can tell, I've got a bunch of games on here as well, so let's just see if we can start up a game which is available on both the Switches. So let me just quickly find Red Dead Redemption, and let me just quickly put the cartridge in on this one, guys, and I will be back. So as you guys can tell, I've booted up Red Dead Redemption 1, and there is a bit of a differentiation, as you can probably tell. The V1 is showing more lighting, whereas the V2 is not showing more lighting. I'm just going to do a camera angle change, just to show you John Marston. And it's a bit weird. The V1 has more colour happening for it than the V2, which is... No, I've never seen that. But yeah, that's crazy. Now, I'm not sure why that's happening. They both have the same panel, I believe, so it's a bit odd for that to be happening. But yeah, there's clearly some color differentiation. I'm not sure if it's because of the state the game loaded in. Very odd, but yeah. However, it runs absolutely like a dream. 30 FPS on both. On the V1, I can actually overclock it so that it runs at 60 FPS. However, I would probably not do it. Loads of people do it, but I'm not really big into overclocking my Switch, because I like to be able to have a bit of longevity on it. So yeah, and also the benefits of a modded Switch is I can just dump the cartridges onto the Switch, so I don't have to constantly keep switching cartridges and taking them with me like I do with my V2, but my V2 I can connect to online. But again, guys, V2, V1, bit of colour differentiation. I think it looks better on here on the V1 than it does on the V2. But yeah, leave a comment down below to see to let me know which one you prefer. But Red Dead Redemption, key differences here. Now that's enough comparing the V1 and the V2. Why don't we talk about the OLED? Now OLED is where everything changed for Nintendo, and let's have a look why. Now the OLED Switch, one of the biggest differences was it has a gorgeous OLED display. So if we go into Red Dead Redemption and we start up a game, we will see the gorgeous colours that an OLED produces compared to the standard that the V1 and the V2 produced. So if you're looking at it, you see such gorgeous displays. We skip it and we'll see lovely John Marston looking all nice and colory, and the colours absolutely look amazing on the OLED Switch as well. You could just see Marston popping out, and let me just, sorry, it's awkward for me to move around, but yeah, it's incredible. The game looks stunning, and it's the best example of the Switch's hardware and the capabilities of it. So yeah, OLED, amazing experience. Now there's another game I wanted to show you where the OLED really shines, and that is Super Mario Wonder. And guys, it just looks absolutely beautiful. The OLED, the way everything looks, it's just incredible. Let me just turn the music off just in case we get any type of strikes, but guys, it looks gorgeous on an OLED, and that is what I love. The clarity, the colours are popping. Look at how Mario looks as well. It's just amazing. So yeah, OLED Switch is definitely a good purchase if you're looking into buying a Nintendo Switch in 2024. You can pick some of these up for quite good prices. They're still quite pricey, around £250 to £300 in the UK. US obviously varies. But again, I got this modded. I paid another extra £90 to get this modded by Techno Hobbyist. I pinned his comment in the last video. Who did the service for me, got the Switch back to me within 24 hours. It was that quick. But yeah, he did an amazing job, and yeah, this is my modded Nintendo Switch. I can literally just dump all of my games and use Tinfoil to update them if I want to, and yeah, it's just incredible. He's done an amazing job with it as well, and the amount of games I have on this with the massive 256 gig SD card I've got on this Switch, it just is absolutely one of the best devices I own. Now I'm just going to do a very quick overview of what are some of the changes. So between the V1 and V2, there is literally no change. The only change that you're aware about is a battery change, and that's because this now gets another, I believe, 2 or 3 hours extra battery life compared to the V1. The screen is the same. Everything else is absolutely the same. The one thing that Nintendo did was patch the vulnerability for the jig, so you cannot now use a jig to slide down and then exploit your Switch to be able to mod it. And you know, since V2 onwards, you can't do that. You cannot use a jig to exploit your Switch. You have to get the soldered version of the PicoFly installed onto your Switches, which is what I did on actually my V1 and my OLED. Now, if you had to choose between the V1 and V2, which one to go for? In all honesty, guys, a V2 is pretty good to get nowadays. You can just pay £75 to get this modded if you wanted to. It's not really at the end of the world. You can pick up a V2 for quite dirt cheap on eBay as well. So I would say if you had to choose between a V1 and V2, V2 is the way to go. Bigger, longer battery life as well. So yeah, always go for the newer version, in my honest opinion. Now, what are the differences between the V2 and the OLED? Because they came around the same time. The OLED has a bigger 7-inch screen. It's sharper. The blacks look absolutely brilliant. And the colour is obviously accurate as well because of the OLED's display compared to the LCD version. And the other change that is the speakers. The speakers sound absolutely phenomenal compared to the V2 and the normal V1 Switch. Those are some of the changes that Nintendo did. And in honesty, if I had to choose between the V2 or the OLED, I would choose the OLED because it looks amazing. It is a brilliant piece of kit. And it just looks bigger. You get a bigger screen as well. Now, between both of them, there is no performance difference. They both perform the same. You're not going to see any drop performance if you get a V2 compared to an OLED. And it's the same thing for the V1 as well. The performance is absolutely the same throughout, and you will not notice a single difference. They are identical in that perspective. But that's the main difference, and you get a bigger battery life as well on here as well. I believe it's actually on par with the V2. Sorry, compared to the V1. V1 is obviously quite ancient. But again, PicoFly is the only way you can get this modded. Again, I use Techno Hobbyist, £90, best £90 I've ever spent. I can dump all my games. It's amazing piece of kit that you can get soldered in, and absolutely worth getting, especially when the Switch is coming to its end now. We're going to see a Switch 2 just around the corner, so I can't wait to grab one of those. It'll be interesting how Nintendo sell that device to us and what some of the features we will be getting. But yeah, guys, this is the main comparison between all three Switches, and which one would you choose if you had to choose between a V1, a V2 and an OLED? Which one would you choose? My personal would be the OLED, and in my specific, I've got a Legend of Zelda OLED version as well. So yeah, mine absolutely looks great. One difference, guys, I absolutely forgot to show you is the non-OLED, the LCD model, or V2 and the V1. They have a kickstand, which is just a normal one little strip of plastic sticking out, whereas for the OLED it's a bit more premium. You get a kickstand, and you get the SD card going in sideways instead of going up. This is a better mechanism, 100% a better mechanism, and you have a bit more flexibility of how you want your tail off the device. So yeah, good change by Nintendo. But yeah, that's the only other physical differentiation between both Switch models. So besides the Switches, there's also differentiations on the way they are docked. So the docking mechanism is the same way. You slide the Switch, you put the Switch in from the top, and it goes in, no issues, and it's the same from the V1. So this is the dock I got with my OLED. This is the dock I got with my V1. Now, the reason why I'm using my V1's dock as an example, because it's the same as the V2 one, really. And the OLED one is because there's key differentiations between both of them. Now, with the V1 dock, as you can tell, this is just a standard Nintendo Switch. It's just got a big Nintendo Switch logo in the middle. It's got an indicator to indicate that you've plugged it into your monitor or TV. The bottom is pretty much like the same, it's just got a stand. Now, the docking mechanism is pretty much still identical in the newer ones as well. However, the back is quite different. So you can see it's got a big HDMI logo over here, but it's a pulley down. So you're meant to keep your Nintendo Switch and then keep this in the back. It's quite, I think it's a bit of a flimsy approach, but it is what it is. And you can see three big indicators here. So you see AC adapter, you see USB, and you see HDMI out. And you can see right here, so that's just for the USB-C charging, USB-A, I believe it's 3.0, and a HDMI port right here. and you can literally swiggle all your cables in through here, keep them here, and you get the gist. And then you just shut this on the back and you're good to go. That was for the V1, V2 docks. Now the OLED is actually quite different in that perspective. Docking mechanism is again the very same, as you can see, but the back is different. Now it has a plastic back, and I have the plastic back right here. If you give me a second, this is the plastic back that you get on the back of the Switch. So the way it would work is, once you've attached everything that you need to attach, you clip it in, boom, good to go. But if you want to plug all your cables in, you pull the plastic out to be able to access the back, and the back is quite different. There is no USB-A slot over here anymore. So you see AC adapter, which again is USB-C. You get HDMI out, and you have a LAN port now, which is interesting because of the online connectivity aspect. Nintendo switched it up, and they now give you a LAN port in your dock, so you don't have to just rely on Wi-Fi all the time when your Switch is docked. Now both Switches still have USB-A ports on the side, so you can plug in your controllers and charge them up, and etc. etc. You can still do that as well. But guys, these were the main differences between the OLED dock and the V1, V2 dock. Now guys, that was the V1, the V2 and the OLED models of the Switch. Let me know which one you guys prefer to get. My honest opinion, the OLED is the hands-on favourite for anybody. The V2 should be for anyone who doesn't really care too much about the display and just docks their Switch most of the time, in all honesty. OLED is really, if you're going to be out and about and using that device most of the time by hand, whereas, you know, if you're going to be docking it, then just pick up a V2, save some money, pick up a V2 and you're going to have the best fun. And in my opinion, I also own a V1. I had this for a while, and V1, the main reason I got this was modded using the jig switch method. However, I paid my own money and decided, do you know what, I'd just rather get a permanent modded one instead, and I love it. I use it whenever I want to go out. This is the Switch I like to use and abuse, I guess is what people like to say, and I love it. I had a lot of people in the comments who say to me that, why own all 3 Switches? What's the point? Why do you need it? Well, this one I like to sometimes use while I'm in my office. If it's a weekend, I don't have anything to do, I'll boot up the Switch right by my office side, right on my office desk, and I'll play it. This one I have right by my bedside. It's amazing to play at night time, whenever, just to release some stress after having a long day. Before I go to sleep, I'll turn on my OLED model. And the V2 I have, so I can play online, I can download my Nintendo games and continue enjoying the online world of Nintendo. So yeah guys, that's the reason why I have them. I didn't pay a premium price on all of them. This was gifted to me. This is something I picked up from eBay, and again, this is something I picked up from eBay, so I actually didn't pay as much as money as you may think I have. So yeah, so please don't comment saying that, well, you know, YouTube money. I don't make any YouTube money, so just FYI. But guys, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.